Today, we are going to talk about web accessibility. In simple words, web accessibility means building a website or web application in a way that allows everyone, including people with disabilities, to use it properly. For example, one user may not be able to use a mouse and may rely only on a keyboard. Another user may use a screen reader. Someone else may have low vision, color blindness, motion sensitivity, or cognitive difficulties. Accessibility means we do not ignore these users. Instead, we build websites in a way that gives them a meaningful and usable experience too. Another important point is this: accessibility is not only for people with disabilities, it improves the experience for everyone. Readable text, clear forms, proper buttons, and better navigation help all users, not just a few. What is accessibility? If I were explaining this to a beginner, I would say it like this: accessibility means building a website in a way that allows people with different challenges in seeing, hearing, clicking, understanding, or navigating to still use it properly. It is said. So it is not enough for a website to just look good. It should also be usable with a keyboard, work with screen readers, be readable for users with weak color vision, have forms that are not confusing, avoid motion effects that may make some users uncomfortable. That is the foundation of accessibility. What standards should we follow in 2026? In 2026, the most practical standard to follow is WCAG 2.2. WCAG stands for Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. It is organized around four main principles. Perceivable: users must be able to notice and understand the content. Operable: users must be able to interact with controls and navigation. Understandable: the interface and content should be clear and predictable. Robust: the website should work with assistive technologies and modern tools. If I explain this simply, I would say when you build a website, the user should be able to see or access the content, operate it, understand it, and still use it with assistive technology. That is the core idea behind accessibility. All right, now let's look at a simple example of semantic HTML. First, I'm typing this div on click play video function. Now, this may work when I click it, but this is not the best choice. Why? Because this is a div and a div is not meant to be an interactive element. So if I build it this way, I may need extra work to make it properly accessible. Now let me fix that by changing it into a real button. Button type equals button on click equals play video function. Now this is much better because a real button already knows how to behave. Users can reach it with the keyboard using tab, and they can press enter or space to activate it. So instead of forcing a div to behave like a button, I should just use the correct element from the beginning. And that is the idea behind semantic HTML. Use the right element for the right job. Next, add proper alt text to images. When you use an image, the alt attribute is very important. A screen reader uses the alt text to explain the meaning of the image to the user. First, I will show you bad practice image src equals team.jpg alt equals image. In here, the word image does not give the user any useful meaning. Here is the better example. I'm going to add image src team jpg, and inside alter tag I'm giving the marketing team discussing the 2026 launch plan. This tells the user what the image is actually about. If an image is only decorative and does not add meaning, you can use alt equals quote. That tells assistive technology to ignore it. Another this is alt text is good for SEO, but only when it is natural, descriptive, and useful. So, a good way to explain this is alt text should describe the purpose or meaning of the image, not just say that it is an image. Next, give forms proper labels. A very basic accessibility rule is this: every form field should have a proper label. Do not rely only on placeholder text. Let me show you a bad example first. Input type is email placeholder equals enter email. And now I show you the better example. Label for equals email. And label type, email address then, input type equals email ID equals email, name equals email. Why is this better? Because placeholder text disappears when the user starts typing. That can confuse people. A visible label stays there and makes the field clearer for everyone. You can explain it like this: a placeholder is helpful as a hint, but it should not replace a label. Make sure color contrast is good. Text should be easy to read against its background. For example, light gray text on a white background is hard to read. Dark text on a white background is much better. Also, do not use color alone to communicate meaning. For example, if a required field is shown only in red, some users may not understand that. Instead, combine color with text or icons, such as required, error, warning. A simple explanation would be, if color is the only way to understand something, some users may miss the message. Intermediate level, real usability support, keyboard only navigation. A truly accessible website should be usable without a mouse. A user should be able to press tab to move through interactive elements, see where the focus is, press enter or space to activate buttons. Common mistake, on click in div like this. Better is the on click in the button or if it is navigation like this. This is important. Use button for actions. Use A for navigation. That distinction matters for accessibility. You can explain it like this. If an element is meant to do something, use a button. If it is meant to go somewhere, use a link. Make focus visible. Keyboard users need to clearly see where they are on the page. That visible outline is called the focus indicator. A simple way to explain it is, a mouse user has a cursor. A keyboard user needs a visible focus ring. If the focus indicator is missing, keyboard users can get lost very quickly. Use proper page structure and landmarks. A page should have a meaningful structure. Elements like these help: header, nav, main, footer. This helps screen reader users move around the page more easily. It gives them a mental map of the layout. So, a clear page structure helps users understand where they are and move around more efficiently. Use good link text. Avoid vague link text like click here, read more, learn more. I will show you a bad example first. See this, a tag just say click here, but it goes to product page. Now see this. View pricing plans. This much better user can understand easily. The better version tells the user exactly what the link does. The better version tells the user exactly what the link does. So a link should make sense even if you read it by itself. Make tables accessible. If you use a table for real data, make sure it is structured properly. Let me show you an example. I have table. The explains what the table is about. The headings make the data easier to understand. Screen readers can read the table more meaningfully. Tables should not only look organized visually, they should also be understandable structurally. Advanced level, accessibility in modern web apps. And here I will explain, use ARIA only when needed. A famous accessibility idea is no ARIA is better than bad ARIA. That means if regular HTML already solves the problem, use normal HTML first. Please check this code. You can see the bad example first, see the better version of it, and finally, good ARIA example. If a button only has an icon and no visible text, that ARIA label gives the button an accessible name. So we can say like this, use ARIA to support accessibility when HTML alone is not enough, not as a replacement for proper HTML. Custom components need real accessibility support. Modern apps often have custom components like accordions, tabs, menus, dialogues, combo boxes. These may look great, but if they do not support keyboard interaction, roles, and states properly, they can be very difficult to use. A custom component is not accessible just because it looks polished. It must also behave correctly. That means keyboard support, focus management, correct roles, correct labels, clear state changes. Respect motion sensitivity. Modern websites often use lots of animation, but some users are sensitive to motion. That is why we should respect the user's reduced motion preference. So animations may look nice, but they should never make the website uncomfortable to use. Important WCAG 2.2 ideas in 2026. There are a few newer ideas in WCAG 2.2 that matter a lot in modern websites. Focus, not obscured. If a keyboard user focuses on something, that focused element should not be hidden behind sticky headers, pop-ups, or overlays. Target size. Buttons and interactive controls should not be too small. For example, tiny icon buttons are harder to tap or click accurately. Accessible login experiences. In modern apps, login pages are often made too complicated. An accessible login experience should be clear, simple, keyboard-friendly, understandable, not overly dependent on memory. For example, blocking password paste or forcing difficult memory tasks can create accessibility problems. A login should be secure, but it should not become unusable. Dynamic errors and updates. In React, Next.js, and other modern apps, a lot of content changes dynamically. For example, validation messages, loading messages, toast notifications, inline errors. These updates should also be understandable to assistive technology. This connects the input field to its error message. If the app gives feedback visually, it should also give that feedback in an accessible way. We covered a lot about web accessibility today. If you have any questions or run into any problems, leave a comment below and I'll reply. See you again in the next video.